Hello everyone, welcome to today's Demonar. We thank you for your time, and we also want to extend a big thank you to our presenters, Linoy George and Gayathri Viswanathan from Maarga Systems. Our topic today is how to enable social tools through XPages. This is part of a continuing series of Demonars and webinars from NotesCode. As time is precious, I'm going to go ahead and turn the time over to Linoy and let him begin their presentation. There'll be a few slides, and then they'll go into an actual demonstration of how to enable the social tools through XPages. We will have a few polls during the presentation, so we invite your participation in that. And at the end of their presentation, there will be time for questions and answers. In your panel, in your GoToMeeting panel to the right, if it is totally collapsed, you can uncollapse it, and there is an area for you to type in your questions, and then I can read them to the presenters, and then they will answer. This session will be recorded so that if you want to share with your colleagues afterwards, it should be posted sometime this evening, and you will receive a link to it. Great. Without further introductions here, I'm going to go ahead and pass the presentation over to Linoy. Linoy, thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Hi, everyone. This is Gayathri Viswanathan, and we are getting started with the social enablement of XPages webinar. To start with, just a very quick intro to Maarga. We have been in a niche organization providing solutions on the Lotus platform and the social platform since 2002. And we kind of have presence in India, USA, and we work with partners in Middle East, Germany, and Europe. A quick introduction to myself. I am Gayathri Viswanathan. I am the COO of Maarga Systems. I have more than 15 years in the industry, been working on Lotus platform since 4.5 onwards. And I was with IBM before consulting with PwC, and for the last 10 years, I've been managing operations at Maarga Systems. Over to you, Linoy. Just a quick intro.
Hi, everyone. So I am Linoy, working in Node since 4.6 and XPages since 8.5, where it has launched, and work as a project lead or a technical architect in the company, and working on various XPages projects from the beginning. And we have contributed XPages projects to the Open NGF as well.
So that's a quick intro. Linoy and I contributed an XPages homepage, so to speak, bringing the Notes workspace on the web. And we also contributed an organization chart where we can visualize an organization chart inside XPages. If you have not taken a look already, you have the Bitly link, and you can take a look at them. So without further ado, a quick agenda. So today we look at why social, why is this so big a deal? Some of the use cases that organizations and businesses are using, how they are integrating social tools into their organization to become better. We look at specific approaches you can take to bring social integration into Lotus Applications, and specifically taking the XPages example, how do we use XPages for bringing social integration into Lotus Applications. And then we straight away jump into 3 use cases, 3 specific demonstrations of the integration itself. We show you how the code works, what are the prerequisites, and things like that, and then we can conclude with question and answers. So, starting off, the social is not a new thing. We've always been social, just that earlier it used to be that we used to talk to friends, we used to attend symposiums, we used to interact in business forums, read specific magazines to get our information to take business decisions. Just that with the advent of Web 2.0 and the internet and the fact that smartphones are available so freely, its entire thing has taken a new form. It's come onto the web. And today, what we do is we have conversations on Facebook, we tweet, we retweet, we have discussions going on, and sometimes with people we've never met. We trust their input, we read reviews, maybe go to a TripAdvisor much before we even book our tickets for taking a trip. And it's just this entire interactions and the conversations has changed the way we share things, the way we publish information, and it's also changed the way we buy for personal as well as business use, and the way we network with other different people. So today, networking is not just face-to-face. We network all the time through LinkedIn. We network through other places like, classmates, school fees, a lot of different areas that we kind of connect with people and work with them. And the good part about all this and this entire Web 2.0 social is most of this is API oriented. It's very, very common for different parts of these new tools to integrate with each other. So for example, if I had a tripit set up, I actually post my trip details onto LinkedIn, and I don't do anything extra for that. I'm starting to come to expect such kind of integration. And this kind of integrations and mashups are becoming very, very common in the user space, in the consumer space. And today, it's starting to become expected as well as a reality in the business space as well. So, like it or not, the world really has changed. In just the last 12 years, if you look at it, what we used to have desktops, today it's pretty much all information is mobile and we have it on our smartphones. We used to have to connect, deliberately. Going online used to be something that we did. We used to connect and then go online, do things, and sometimes disconnect. But today that's not. Online connection is a given. We just take it for granted. And where we used to click, we swipe. And where we used to have CDs, and in fact, I remember the floppy disks of olden days. But today it is apps, going and downloading from an app store, and updates to apps happen without even us knowing about it. It just happens and we download it and we get new features. These have become the realities of today's world. And the key thing is people are starting to expect that their businesses, where they actually do work with and where they actually interact from a business perspective, they're expecting the same kind of flexibility, they're expecting the same kind of behavior even in those areas. So if you look at the last McKinsey report, they show that organizations which have kind of embraced this new paradigm, that are kind of fully networked and they are actually leveraging this Web 2.0 in their businesses, those organizations are doing very well. They are returning better performance. They are either already market leaders or they are gaining the market share continuously when you compare them with organizations that are just using the web in a very limited way. And this comes from very solid research that has been happening. And what they are finding is not just, people are not just embracing new social platforms like an IBM Connections or something like that. What they are doing is also enabling existing applications, business applications within the organization to integrate and share data outside the organizations in different ways. And that's the crux of the webinar today. So if you look at where is this used, I mean, how are organizations, how are these fully networked enterprises, how are they using social within their organization? What they do is they kind of leverage this Web 2.0 social in every business function. They just make it very effective and current. Let's take an example. In marketing, for them, marketing is no longer just publishing, no longer just updating their website or publishing in a media. That's not what they start with. They connect to users across like Facebook. They regularly post themselves, keep them updated using Twitter. And they do multiple areas where they are able to connect with their prospective customers. The CRM itself is socially integrated, so the sales team, they engage in conversations in multiple areas, maybe Facebook, LinkedIn, and not just that, the conversations are tracked and followed up on. They have the ability to bring in some of these customers into their product life cycle. So they may have, an internal network, social network, but they can expose portions of that to their customers, bringing them on board, having discussions, enabling much faster product feedback, and they're able to use their blog, their Twitter, and their connections for this. And they actively encourage communication with existing customers. For example, in service help desk, typically what used to happen is you had a service help desk that takes calls from customers, resolves issues, and engages. Today, an active, fully networked enterprise, exposes this, wherein some of these solutions are not coming only from their internal team. So different parts of the organization engage with different customers. Now, some of the solutions are even being crowdsourced so that faster turnaround on issues and better ability to use the product is coming up. And they also make sure that they can monitor and keep track of what kind of even negative feedback. They can address it much faster. And these are just a few use cases where we see organizations leveraging social in their business environment. For example, in recruitment and HR, you see that workers are benefiting by sourcing relevant resumes from LinkedIn. And it's a concept of many-to-many communication, within the context of business process, but keeping the control within the organization. Not letting the control go out of their hands, but at the same time leveraging the fact that you can talk to many people in many contexts and leveraging all the people's strengths there. So here's a quick poll. Scott, can you run the first poll, please?
All right, here comes the first poll. Go ahead and select all that apply. So which are the areas where you see social integration benefiting your organization? And you can select more than one. Perfect. We're going to go about 10 more seconds here. We've over half of us have voted. All right, 3 more seconds. Perfect. All right, I'm going to close the poll and then display the results. And here are the results. Looks like marketing and sales comes on top, IT, HR, administration coming last.
Okay.
All right.
Super.
All right, yeah. Should be back to you now.
What? Yeah, Scott?
Oh, no, the control's back to you. I'm sorry. Sorry about that, Guy.
Thank you.
My apologies.
No issues. Thank you. So, when you look at this, bringing social into the business, it really involves, if you look at the technologies that are involved here, they are all based on open standards, and which is a very good thing, because you can start expecting that what you put out and the way you integrate with some of these social tools and these social media is going to be very standards oriented, and it clusters around a few standard technologies. HTML5, which is it's still under consideration, it's just getting finalized right now, but it brings in a new variation towards HTML itself. If you look at REST as an API, today web services across the world are standardizing on this new paradigm. And JSON, these are I know they are probably terminologies, but they do have a relevance because that's what we are going to use further down in the demo now to see how things are happening. But JSON is JavaScript object notation. It's kind of a text-based standard designed for human variable data, and that's becoming a standard for data transfer across multiple platforms. And similarly, like OAuth is an authentication protocol. So increasingly, authentication between multiple platforms are happening using a standardized model. So just like this, so there are a whole bunch of social technologies which are standardized, and that's what we need to use to integrate with any of the social tools that are coming up. So if you look at that, and how do we do that? How do we start taking these social technologies and bringing them into Lotus Applications? And it's not very new. Some of these have been done right from version 7.0 onwards. I mean, right from the earliest web applications that we were developing, we could do that. The key was there were multiple parts to the puzzle. So we would either, we could take HTML snippets, embed them, put them as pass-through HTML into the standard web applications we used to develop. We had JavaScript libraries. We could write JavaScript libraries and, connect them up. And, the early web agents where, we had standard Lotus script or Java agents, even REST could be consumed with that. We could consume REST-based web services by writing a Java agent that would connect to these services, get the data, format it, and then publish it back again as a web. We could format the HTML right in the agent and then show it across the browser. And of course, we had the gadgets that could be embedded as well. Now, multiple different pieces that had to be put together to actually create the functionality that we sought. And it's still possible. So if there are organizations that are currently not on 8.5 or above, those who are not using XPages, it doesn't matter. You can still leverage these social tools. It just takes multiple pieces in the puzzle to actually implement them. On the other side, on an extension side, you have the XPages, which is a new, just for people who probably have not gotten onto the XPages, XPages is the new web and mobile development platform from IBM, which is on top of it's the Lotus same Domino designer, and the advantage is it brings in a lot of these technologies, a lot of the functionality of Web 2.0 within itself. It's built on Java Server Faces from Sun. The JSF framework itself provides a lot of capabilities. You could have reusable UI components. You have an event-driven programming model. And then you have a separation between the server representation and the client representation. So there is actually a presentation layer. And some of these kind of address the known limitations of Domino that we've always faced with. Now, a combination of the XML markup, the JSF, and the Web 2.0 features that XPages have make it really, really simple for us to do the kind of API programming, do the kind of extensions that we need to bring social into the business. So why use XPages? Number one is everything is XML here. So which means the standard toolkits, the standard code libraries that are available to manipulate XML all work here. So we can leverage a lot of different functionality and a lot of different thought processes and the latest inventions outside within the Domino world as well. Consuming JSON, and I did say that JSON is increasingly becoming the data transfer mechanism or the data model between multiple tools. And when that happens, consuming JSON and manipulating it using JavaScript is very, very easy. And for example, REST being the standardized web service model, it is very easily accessible, and the response from a REST web service can be manipulated using either jQuery or CSS, and you can integrate the responses from such web services with existing data in Notes Applications, and then it becomes very easy to use, combine this data and use it in the workflow within the organization. All of this is based on standards so that the framework from other sources can also be very easily used. So things like Dojo, jQuery, some of the Java-based toolkits, they all work together. And finally, in XPages, the Java and JavaScript are easy to bind together. So things like, you can create very powerful applications integrating things like activity streams, then accessing profiles, and things like that, which come from different sources. And yet, they all are coming back and integrating with existing data or data from your standard Lotus Notes application. So in today's webinar, what we are going to focus specifically on is integration with LinkedIn, integration with Twitter, and integration with Facebook. That's what, and all of this, how do we achieve it using XPages is the focus of today's webinar. So before we get on to the actual demo, can we just have the second poll, please?
All right, we're going to launch the second poll. And again, you can select all that applies. So you can select more than one. So we're looking for what are the social media platforms you would be interested in integrating with your Lotus applications. Of course, we are limited in the number of answers we can provide, so but we do probably have the most popular ones there. I know SlideShare and others are up and coming. And we are there. All right, 2 more seconds. All right. Great. Almost everyone's voted. I'm going to close the poll and share. Facebook's still on top, looks like. And Twitter and LinkedIn make the top 3. Perfect.
Okay, super. So I think we picked the right 3 to kind of show in our webinar today. So over to Linoy now, and he would talk about the application example that we've taken up as part of this webinar and walk you through the specific steps on how to do this integration.
Hi everyone, thank you Gayathri. So we have seen a couple of use cases that social can integrate with XPages. Typically today we are going to taking the use case of social e-recruitment application. Its standard workflow involves approved job posting for which recruiters source candidates and took their process. Once the job posting is approved, integrate with the social media play a major role in the recruitment cycle. As everyone knows that how powerful the social media is. The details of the posted job can be circulated using the Twitter tweets, Facebook shares, LinkedIn, and this will enable the speed of the recruitment cycle as well. This enables the job to virally promoted by anyone with an interest in the same area. Employees can actually refer using the comments of Facebook, makes it easier to share and track. The recruiter, the major player in the recruitment process, can get the updates from the Twitter tweets very quickly about the interested candidates based on the tweets, retweets, likes, etc. that's available in the social media, and can engage with a conversation with them who are interested candidates. The resource or the person who is looking for the job also can apply through the position through LinkedIn, will avoid filling a full form with all the details and help to keep the candidate's profile up to date. So filling from the LinkedIn profile will keep the profile up to date. And also for the resources, So the resource sourcing can become powerful using the LinkedIn profile search or the Facebook profile set. Information about the candidates on the LinkedIn or the Facebook are typically more accurate because it's social and people are on a day-to-day basis accessing that. So we'll just move into how the LinkedIn integration will work. If you can see the source, how powerful the social is, there are more number of users. There are nearly 175 million users available in the LinkedIn, and what all we can do in the LinkedIn searches. So users can bring the LinkedIn profile and network in your site or in your application and search for the public profiles, so that what they are doing, what is their industry, what is the specification, and all that. And you can create authentication through the LinkedIn API, so that user don't need to register in your site, so he can directly apply or share and comment from that. So these are some of the use of LinkedIn. So you can search the profile, search the connection, search the industry, and can update the site, update the profile itself. So what are the prerequisites to create or to integrate the LinkedIn to your application? We need to create each application to get an API key, which is a key will help to identify the application and make the API calls. So for that, we need to register or create the application in the LinkedIn developer site, and we need to integrate the URL, the project, and auth redirection URL to the application. You can just have a look how it looks like. So if you go and open in the linkedin.com/secure.developer, you can actually add new application where you can need to fill all the details. So if you add the new application, you get a whole bunch of questions: which company you need to register, what is the application name, description, and the URL, the social aggregation, or whatever. The application use can be anything, the corporate, IT, internal use, or the social aggregation, and we also need to give the JavaScript API domains. So if you need a redirectional URL, you need to give the URL for the auth redirection to get a secure login to your application. Once you have agreed the terms and add the application, then you will get the following details as the application name, the API key, the secret key, auth user token, and auth user secret. So what is this difference between the API key and the secret key? The API key helps to identify the application and make the API call, as we already discussed. And what is the secret key meant for? Actually, the LinkedIn has a very vast auth flow that can be described. So if an application is request a set of temporary credentials, also known as request token, at this point, the credential is associated with specific LinkedIn user. But after the temporary credentials are being sent to the LinkedIn, the authorization will be granted by the LinkedIn and given access token. When the access token is given back to the LinkedIn, so then only the protected resource will be get access. For that protected resource to get access, you need your secret key. Basically, the secret key will be secret within yourself to access the secret application. Coming back to the slides, so how we can connect to the LinkedIn. So we have already seen what is the authentication method that we need, API key we need. So below is the script. What we need to run is we need to have a REST call to the platform.linkedin.com in.js to authenticate with LinkedIn. So then we need to pass the API key. We need to pass authorize equal to true, which is actually set the authorization equal to true and to get the access for the application that or the API application that you are accessing. So we can search the results or search the people who are interested in Lotus Notes or XPages or Domino using the LinkedIn and get the profile into the XPages itself. We will see that in a quiet moment how it works. So the code that works is we have a set of code that the JavaScript framework is loaded, and we have a display search result as well. So with that gets the rest will give you the JSON or the jQuery response as we discussed earlier, and will display the results. We can just go quickly into the demo and look how it really works. So this is the application, the social e-recruit is application that is the best application for the IBM conducted Lotus Sphere to India and a Quadathon competition, and this is one of the best applications that's selected. So we can just go and see how the source from LinkedIn works. So we have the e-recruit application open, and this is the application, this is the source from the internal database. So when we click the source from LinkedIn, we can see that the people search results for the XPages, the typical type of people who are interested and who have posted the jobs, posted their profile with the XPage keyword will pop up. And you can typically go to particular person and view who is and send the message. So this makes easy for the recruiter to see who are all with the XPages and set a conversation starting from there itself. So if we can just go back to the designer and see how it works actually. So this is the XPage, this is a custom control. So usually the best practice is we need to put everything into the custom control so that we can bring. So as we discussed in the XPage, the basic script tag for the authentication that with the API key that we have already registered application and authentication true, this will give us the authentication into the LinkedIn using your ID and with your application. And the next step that we need to do is we need to have a place to show the search results. So for that, we need to have a div in place with a specific ID. So I just give people search. You can give according to you, and that ID is necessary to show the results. So how the LinkedIn will log in with the credentials into the LinkedIn account, or how the API will call the application key. For that, LinkedIn has a type called in/login, which will just get into the authentication process of the LinkedIn. And after the authentication, we have another keyword called data on auth, so which have a load data here. This is nothing but a function name. So whatever the process need to be happened after the login happened, all the credentials LinkedIn has give the credentials and happen, that is on load. So you can specify your own function name here and what need to be. So typically in this application, we are looking for the people search with the keyword XPages. The e-recruiting system what needed the XPages profiles for the recruiter to see who all are there in the XPages out in the market and get according to the distance. Or the distance can be on two methods. So it can be either on a country base And even the LinkedIn has a property of city and with a zip code. So you can actually go ahead and search for which city the person belongs to, or which state the person belongs to, and how many miles the person is different from you. As well as there is a short distance that is maintained. That is the actually hierarchical structure of your degree of the separation with a member network. Either it can be a first degree, second degree, then a mixture of degrees. That also is possible. So while calling the people search algorithm from the API of LinkedIn, you need to call the method in.api.peoplesearch. So in and API are on the caps because we are calling a third-party library. Whatever things that we need to get back as a result, so typically we need the name of the person, the public profile URL, the picture URL, and which industry he is working on. So that is the dot field actually select. There are different types of, there are nearly 17 to 19 fields method that we can give in the people search. And when you back to the parameters that we are passing, that parameters need to be passed in a JSON format. That means in this case, we have passed the parameters, the keywords as XPages, which will give us the output of all the XPages people profile, which has a count of 100, the first 100 counts, and sort according to the distance, which means that the degree of separation with your member network. So there are different sorts that are connection, recommendance, relevance. Relevance means the results based on the query, that here means the XPages. So there are nearly 17 parameters that you can pass, like countries, city, zip code, list, and all that. Once you call this method, you'll get a result in a JSON format, which you can, or the API call gives the result in a JSON format, which you can ideally do with simple JavaScript or with a jQuery. Here we have done with the JavaScript as an example. So what we have done is we loop through the results and get the profile pictures and actually generate an HTML over there to get you the beautiful, the look and feel. So you can see that there is a beautiful look and feel where the people's picture, the profile picture, the name, the designation, and industry. If you notice that there is a link in the name of the person, which is coming actually from the profile, the public profile URL. That is the reason why we need the field public profile URL back into the system. And at the last, we got all the results into the HTML format, and then we put as inner HTML. So this is the one way of getting the information, from LinkedIn according to the sources you can do. And all the keywords that we have passed can be configured from a field or from a custom control and all that. So just going back to the integration with Twitter. So we have standard API calls to the we can add the API calls of Twitter into the XPages as well. What are the methods that we can use? We can tweet, we can share, we can retweet, we can display the tweets. All these APIs are available in the Twitter API documentation. Why Twitter is more important, as we discussed, there are 140 million users and 340 million tweets per day is happening in the Twitter. So just going back to the demo, how we do with the Twitter is, once you can see that on the right hand side there is a Twitter feed is happening. the Twitter feeds are the feeds from the Twitter according to a particular mention or a particular hashtag. Here the hashtag or the mention is the job opening for the Maarga job opening. So all the communication that's happening with that hashtag and with that mention will be in the Twitter feeds. Just going to the, we'll have a look on how it works. So how to call the Twitter feeds? So we need to incorporate a JS file that is actually now in the Google Codes. You can download that and integrate into your application itself. It's called twittermins.js, and need to call a REST call for twitter.com at the username and the status and the time. So this will give the feeds into your account. So for that, the same process as we do in the LinkedIn, we need to specify a div ID. That means it's a div ID called tweet, where we need to hold all the tweets and call a function on the loading of that particular CC or XPages called getTweeters. This is a customized function where you can actually add your own description. So here, typically the tweet is the name of the ID where the HTML need to hold, and ID is specifically, it's just hard-coded to my name right now, where the Twitter ID, and how many counts of the how many counts of the tweets you need to do, and enable links or not is scan the links if it's clickable. So if you enable it to true, you can click that. And there is another one called ignore replies. So if somebody have replied all the tweet that you have done, if you need to get the reply also, you need to give as true. So there are nearly parameters that need to be passed. This is also in a JSON format. So that is why the JSON is coming into play, and it's very highly effective. And you can call, using the JSON format, the n number of parameters. There are nearly 20 parameters you can call to the Twitter that is available in the API of the Twitter. And with this REST call, we get all the information of the tweet, and we can show it in a beautiful. So if you get another CSS over it, we'll be just happy to show beautifully. The other method of the Twitter is we can just tweet it directly from the job posting. So if you can just so if you can actually have a look, if you click the particular jobs, you can actually tweet at a hashtag, or post to direct website, or add a comment or to the Facebook, and HTML tweet is also available. We can just have a quick look at what is the difference between the API call tweet and the HTML call tweet. Just moving into the designer. So as you see that the API feed is just calling a REST function using the API and passing an href into the Twitter side. So for that, the URL for that is http of Twitter and intent and feed and button hashtag. There are really different methods you can add using the hashtag, the text, and all within the Twitter. And Twitter is giving a classes, different type of classes to show how beautiful you can show the button, a Twitter-related button. And that is how we call the Twitter tweet, the tweet at hash Maarga opening where you will get. The HTML tweet is nothing but from the XPages, you can actually redirect the external context of redirect and call the URL directly using the Twitter button. So basically, both the APIs and and the HTML feed of the redirection of the URL is also can be happen within the XPages. And just going into once all this has been said and it has been featured, then it's going back to the company website where actually the jobs are posted and you can apply using the LinkedIn. This is typically how we can apply with the LinkedIn. So if a person has come and have already seen that this relevant job is for me, the candidate can actually apply with the LinkedIn account, so you don't want to fill all the profiles once more. How to achieve that is we need to get the API key here, but definitely as we discussed, the authentication needs to be happen with the API key only because we don't want the secret key. A third party is going to access that. And once we have that, we can just go and add the URL in/apply. Earlier we have already seen that in/login. Now the type is in/apply and say that yes, I need to apply for this job. And there is a parameter called data email. This is the parameter that will send the mail to the recruiter or who have posted. It can be actually configured, but now it's hard-coded to my need. So if you need to just apply for a Lotus Notes developer of 4.6 years of experience, you can, this is with my LinkedIn ID. Just if you submit the application will be submitted to the data email correspondent with your resume attached into that. So if you go to the mailbox where it is already configured, you can see that one mail has come from the LinkedIn itself saying all the credentials of you, all the profile of you with a PDF, and it can be opened. So this is very powerful to apply for a job using the LinkedIn profile. We are just see how this has been done. So Facebook also integrates the same way as the Twitter integrates, and we have already discussed how the Twitter got integrated. The same way the Facebook also can be integrated with the API call to the Facebook. So it's very simple. The FB comments and FB likes are the classes that need to be, and it need to be passed into the data href. So with this, we can actually comment on the Facebook for a particular job that has been posted. So this is the end of the demo. Actually, we can just run the poll number 3. Scott, can you please run the poll?
All right. Here goes poll number 3. And the question is a very simple one. Is social integration relevant for your organization? And I think we're not going to be surprised at any of the poll numbers here. The social integration is becoming very important 3 more seconds. All right, and the results are, yeah, almost 80% of the companies are realizing that social integration is becoming important.
And just aware that all this code that we are just seeing is available in the presentation for the reference, so you can just go ahead and refer the code if you want. So just getting into this, before we winding up, we can have a quick summary of what we have discussed till now.
Yes. So we saw why social is important. We saw a series of use cases where it is potentially organizations who are kind of fully networked are taking advantage of the Web 2.0 and social integration to better their business. We looked at why XPages is a great tool or a great platform doing social within your organization. And the key there, again, as Linoy showed, is you could see some of the code that he had, which is very straightforward and simple to kind of do these kind of functionality. And we did go into the detail of how do you integrate with LinkedIn. We talked about the API key, which is very important for LinkedIn. And we saw how the Twitter and Facebook integration works with the specific classes and specific URLs. And with Twitter, how you could pass parameters of hashtags, or you could pass parameters of a particular person's name, different parameters that give you different results. Now, the key here to note is, even though in this particular example or the webinar we had hard-coded, the power comes in the fact that every one of these data is could come from your Lotus application. So it could come from, it could actually come from any part of your organization, and the data, once sourced, can then be, turned into a workflow or turned into reports that are relevant to your organization and put together as an application. So that is where the power comes into play. So that brings us to the end of the webinar itself. Here are some references that you should be going through. And an early version of this application itself, I think, is still available on the IBM Developer Works site that you can go and take a look at. And if there are any questions, we'll be happy to take them.
All right, perfect. So this is the time to type in questions if you have any questions. If they're technical in nature, that'll be fine. If they're more high-level questions, that will work as well. One of the questions is they're wondering about demos for connections.
We thought we would take that up as a different webinar later. It's a vast topic in itself.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, they had a couple of people ask, hey, what about connections? So that's good to know.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a completely vast topic. It has a lot of different areas where we can connect and integrate. So I think we would probably take that up as a different webinar in the coming month.
All right, perfect. And the demos that you showed today, will they run in Domino 7?
No, the demo that we showed today are built using XPages, but the same kind of functionality can be achieved. With XPages, makes it very simple to do that, whereas if you have to do it with Domino 7, a little more coding is involved. We will have to combine, as I said, a combination of JavaScript libraries, some HTML, and a web agent. We would have to combine together to make any of these come up.
Okay, perfect. And next question, how do you get the Graph API in the Facebook integration?
The Graph API is mainly for the setting the profile in the Facebook. So if you want to integrate the Graph API, there is a REST services is calling called Graph APIs .facebook.com, and you can search for Lotus Notes or any keywords, Lotus Notes or XPage. That will result actually a JSON formatted result or an XML-based result, and you can translate using the normal JavaScript or the jQuery as we did for the LinkedIn, the same procedure. So only the URL to the Facebook is different. That is how we consume the Graph API.
Okay. I'm not a developer, so I didn't understand any of that. But I know the developers out there will. So that's fantastic. Another question. With the integration, are there any specialized tools besides the XPages development platform that are useful?
I think there is, for REST, the extension library has a complete framework which makes it really easy to consume REST-based web services.
And one more is for the IBM has already a social web toolkit which has some of the components of the REST and the other API calls, how to consume it.
I think they also have something for OAuth, right, making it a little easier.
Yeah,
supposed to come with 854.
That is a social web.
Oh, that's a social web toolkit. Okay. All
right, perfect. Great. Well, we are actually right at the hour, and I know everyone is busy, so this is the last chance for last question. If anyone has one more question for Maarga Systems, this would be the time to do it. While we're waiting to see if there's any questions, I want to thank Maarga Systems, Guy and Linoy. Thank you very much for your time and your presentation. Not being a developer, of course, I don't appreciate everything, but I know the developers out there do appreciate that, and how to actually get the integration working and some samples is very useful at all times, of course. Great. So I think we have answered all of the questions. And Guy, if there's anything you'd like to add and conclude with the presentation, the floor is yours.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to attend this webinar. Again, the Lotus Apps, whether they have been updated to XPages or even earlier, you don't have to wait for implementing a complete new social platform within your organization. You can leverage your existing applications and integrate them to bring the power of social within your organization, and which is kind of becoming very necessary in the new world. So with that, thank you very much, Scott, for this opportunity to present. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for attending. Everyone have a great day.